Final four of the MLS Cup playoffs. Can New York City make it 4 straight road wins in the playoffs and get to MLS Cup? Well, we got a lot to go over here. Along with Roberto, I'm Glenn on NYCFC Views Live.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. NYCFC Views.
Collins approaches the shot, and New York City wins the first MLS Cup on their first try, and they're going crazy.
Tiene el tiro y gol! Gol! New York City es el campeón de Major League Soccer.
The sickest New York City FC podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome, everybody. There's Roberto Abramowitz. I'm Glenn Crooks. We do the radio commentary for the New York City Football Club, and we've seen a lot of great moments along the way, a lot of disappointing moments along the way. But among the ones that I think we would put on a platform or maybe even by itself is this one at Subaru Park over the weekend on Saturday night. And was it Saturday or Sunday? I'm losing track.
It was Sunday night.
Yeah, it was Sunday night. So, so it's Tuesday. So it was Sunday night. And Roberto, welcome. And, there's still the excitement resonates a bit, and a nice chance to get up to training for us both today to see everyone. And but I thought everybody was pretty much all business. There wasn't too much horsing around or anything like that.
No. It was whatever they celebrated, they got it out of their system on Sunday night. And normally, either Pascal has said this, and I've seen other coaches say this: you have 24 hours to enjoy this, and then on to the next game. And so by Monday night, I'm sure it was all out of their system. And Tuesday, it was the beginning of business.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the moment itself, being in the stadium that a little bit earlier this year you lost, but I think you gained some traction there on October the 4th, and they talked about that today, just having that experience with that crowd coming back and that making it that much easier. And, of course, the story of Maxi Morales, who New York City's played 4 playoff games, and he has scored a goal in each of them. And all of those goals, every one of them, had an impact. In 2022, it was the opening goal, and Philadelphia came back and ended up winning the game. But the other 3, including this one, big game winner. And so let's right off the bat, because we want to review some of this because we don't want to leave the joy yet. And certainly we're going to talk about Miami as well. But Roberto Abramowitz, Ariel Hudas on the Spanish side. And here's the call of the Maxi Morales goal. And whether you speak Spanish or not, it's a good one. It's exciting. So listen in.
Tocar un balón, aquí viene un balón largo que corta la defensa de Nueva York. Ahora balón en disputa, aquí está Johnny Shore y el toque a Tavon Gray, se lleva uno en la media cancha, lanza Ojeda por el lado derecho, este va contra Macaña, se lleva Macaña, viene el balón para Fernández Mercado, lo filtra muy bien el tiro y ¡gol! Maxi Morales. ¡Qué jugada acaba de hacer New York City! Y Maxi Morales pone arriba a los celestes 1-0.
Y tenía que ser él, quizás el jugador de New York City que más conoce esta serie, que más conoce al rival, ante uno que lo conoce poco, pero que se está acomodando para ser un gran personaje en este duelo ante Philadelphia Union. Maxi anota un golazo, lo celebra como si hubiera ganado el campeonato del mundo. Todavía queda mucho, pero es un gran evento, una gran novedad para New York City en este partido. Arriba en el marcador, cuando todo el mundo pensaba que New York City iba a sufrir muchísimo esta noche.
Absolutely, Ariel. Absolutely. 27th minute, and then you didn't get the feeling they were hanging on, trying to get to the interval, halftime before, that they were scripting. No, everything was. Now in the second half, you got the what you would normally expect from the home side. It's only a 1-goal difference, and there was a lot more pressure in the second half. But Before we get into some of that, Roberto, Kevin O'Toole, he did the presser today on the player side. There's always one player featured. It was O'Toole. And, of course, the question for him was moving into the midfield. Here's a guy that's played left back all season, but moves into the midfield. And he talks about playing in there with Johnny Shore in place of the injured Andres Perea and the suspended Aiden O'Neill.
There. I thought Johnny came in and did an amazing job of settling things on the ball, and he's a big game player, and he's shown that all year, and so I thought he was fantastic. And then wasn't sure where I was going to play in this one. I suspected it would be out wide, and it wasn't until pretty late on in the week that it was determined that I'd be playing in the midfield. Close to like a game time decision, but I was in the back of my mind just kind of prepared for that moment and that opportunity. So it's obviously like a very hectic and physical game, and I think it took a bit to settle into the pace of it, but I think once we did, we were a lot more assured and put up a good fight.
Yeah, so I think the first 10 minutes or so were a little difficult for him, and he admitted being in there and the physical nature. And in the midfield, you have to have 360. It's like it's not like at left back where everything's in front of you for the most part. This is where you have to. And a key moment in the game, and it was part of your call, is that Kevin O'Toole recovered the ball, got it to Johnny Shore, and that started the sequence. So your two midfielders, your two new midfielders after O'Neill and Perea had really made their mark as a duo, really heavily involved in that, the only goal.
And the only goal, the most important one. But more than that, I mean, when you look at the game and the way it was played, Glenn, I was really impressed of how New York City saw the game out. And I think that if there's been a difference with Pascal, it's to teach that, how to be able to see these games out without suffering that much. And you've seen the difference from the beginning of the season. Let's go back to the first game against Inter Miami, where Chase Stadium. And New York City's trying to see a game out against 10 players for Inter Miami, and they allow the goal in, what was it, the 9th or the 10th minute of stoppage
10th
time.
minute. Segovia in
Right.
the 10th minute. And Pascal referred to that today as, an MLS quirk. He was very curious as to why 9 minutes was given, and then it's in the plus 10 that Segovia scores what was the tying goal. But anyway, beside that, because we talked a little bit about officiating today.
Right, and the point being, though, is that New York City did have its struggles at the beginning of the season, seeing out those type of games. And then, I mean, there are reasons you didn't have Thiago Martins in the middle of defense because he still wasn't ready. So there's a lot of reasons, but at the same time, it's also the bulletproof mentality that has been what has been talked about from day one with him. And the players still referred to it because it's still talked about, and what New York City needs to be able to do, or the mindset that they need to be able to see these games through. And if they're going to win on Saturday at 6:00 or 6:15 when kickoff is, then they're going to have that bulletproof mentality one more time.
Well, the road, it's really been an incredible road streak for them. Few teams ever accomplished this in MLS, and that is over their last 10 games, 8 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. That loss was at Charlotte 2-0. But other than that, they have been near perfect.
Yeah.
And including 3 consecutive playoff wins on the road, 2 in Charlotte after they had never won at Bank of America Stadium before, and then the one in Chester, Pennsylvania over the weekend against Philadelphia. Hey, one more thing about the goal here, and it's Tavon Gray. So I had a nice one-on-one with Tavon today. So this is outside of the presser. And there's something really interesting in here, his description of how the goal was created. And he also talks about Maxi Morales in here. So you get Pascal talked about how important Maxi is as the leader and those sorts of things. Well, this is a prime example what Tavon has to say about the goal and then Maxi. Let it rip.
Their pressure on their left side was a little it was a little late. So I realized that early on in the game. I caught them with a few one-touch passes. But since I was doing so many one-touches, I said this time I'm going to switch it up. So the player had ran too much to my right. So I went to my left. And then Algo was in so much space because the left back was pressing me. I believe it was Wagner. He was pressing me, and I saw Algo in the space, and Ojeda in space. That's his bread and butter. So, and make things better, he got the mag. I was like, ooh. Then he passed it to Nico, and Nico soft lay off to Maxi. Their chemistry is untouchable. But yeah, and Maxi finished.
Well, the thing you said there that I'd like to address a little further is you're recognizing that the defender was overplaying you because you were playing the ball into that channel before. Mm-hmm. So just to be able to see that, we talked about 2021. Maybe back then you weren't seeing things like that.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So how has that developed?
I'm going to say film, training, and definitely just getting games under my belt, playing with guys like Maxi. I feel like he's taught me a lot of different patterns when it comes to playing, just in general, especially the style we play here. I think he very much like dissects everything in the game, to be fair. Makes it quite easy. Like we'll literally have a chat. I don't know, the ball goes out of bounds and he'll just tell me something and I'll be like, all right, I got it. Whether
you're talking about in the game, yeah.
Yeah, in the game, yeah. Ball can go out and he'll just tell me, hey, next play, do this, that, and I got it right there. So, and it obviously works for me. So, if I fix it, if it's not broken, I stick to it and just follow.
That reminds me of Maxi talking to Tati Castellanos in the early years and making sure that he stayed tuned in because Tati. He would turn off during matches, like kind of disappear, and Maxi wouldn't let him as Tati continued and progressed as a player. But to hear that from Tavon, those two things, his awareness and recognition, I've never heard him articulate anything like that before. And then crediting Maxi for his development as well. So there you go. The importance of Maxi Morales. Give him another year. Let's go.
Without a doubt. And then he also said, and maybe this was off mic or something, about the fact that, or maybe no, it was Pascal who told us that he when Tavon is on his side, that he speaks to him, and it doesn't seem to bother Tavon at all. He seems to really take it all in and be good about it. There's a lot of players that don't want to be hearing about the coach, in the middle, but he's all good. Yeah. He's all good with it. He's always open to learning. So you talked about with Tavon, his perspective on the goal. Yeah. And I spoke to Trapito Ojeda. And Ojeda, this is going to be part of our pregame show on Saturday. And he's talked about Tavon, and he said he's always trying to tell me that he's going to put the ball in space and that I should go and find the space. And maybe that we don't communicate well because of language, and we don't understand each other because of language. But things that we understand on the soccer field, we do. He knows me very well. He knows of what I'm capable of, and that I like to play with the ball in space. And the goal comes from something like that because he gets inside. And in this case, he was talking about Wagner, right? He gets inside Wagner. And he throws the ball into space, and it was such a good connection. And then I have the connection with Nico and then Maxi. And truth be said, it was a gorgeous goal.
This is why it's so good what Tavon did. So he beats the first player off the dribble, and it's Wagner who comes up. So he engages Wagner, and all Wagner has to do is take one step, and then now the ball's out wide to Ojeda where there is nobody. And then he's closed down eventually, but then he megs. So who was out there? So here's the thing. This is what's these are the little things that are so critical. So by Tavon Gray driving the ball to the inside instead of playing it down the flank, he drew Wagner. So that means the center back, Macania, he's not a great 1v1 defender. Center backs tend to not generally be great 1v1 defenders in the open field. And that's exactly what happened to him when Ojeda. I didn't get that on the call. I didn't know he was megged on the call live, but
yeah,
the replay. But he megs him, and then that's it. So but it really starts back with Kevin O'Toole recovering the ball in midfield after Thiago Martins lost it, and then Shore right there. Shore quickly getting it to Gray, and then it goes from there. So great team goal.
And it's another one. I mean, they've been doing this all year long. I mean, we've had team goals where they've passed the ball around 25 times and wound up scoring on it. So this is part of the system. This isn't a glitch. This isn't, wow, look at that. That was really something new. No, this is the way they want to play. And so, and it's really interesting, Glenn, because me growing up in Mexico, every time that you played a ball back to the goalie, okay, that you played the ball back to the keeper, it would get whistled in Mexico, right? It would get booed. It's like, you don't play the ball back to the goalie. And New York City does this a lot. They reset a lot. And they depend upon Matt Freese for this. And then they get the ball back to him. The team resets. They allow the other team to come out. And then it's like, all right, now let's start building. And they'll do that all day until they're able to break it down and then go forward. And they're happy to do it. It's part of it.
Well, the build out is developed against every opponent. Teams at this juncture of the year, they generally press and go at it the same way. They might tweak it a little bit as they're scouting the opponent as well. But it's visual cues, and that's where players decide where they're going to put themselves, and then you go from there. And then technically you have to be proficient, because if your first touch pops up in the air, then boom, all bets are off, and things may happen. Now, it's 1-0 thanks to all that good stuff. And then it was the Matt Freese show, let's face it, in the second half. So Justin Hack did a post-game presser. So what I did here, Roberto, is I kind of combined his thoughts, and he described these two Matt Freese saves, which turned out to really save the game for New York City. So here's Hack with Freese and our call on the NYC network.
Yeah, I would say he saved us in the second half. I don't know who had the first shot that was close and like a reaction save.
Deflected shot and a save by Freese on Westfield. It's a kick save and a beauty at the near post.
Ilowski's shot, I was actually right behind it, and I thought the ball was in the goal. And then out of nowhere, Freese comes flying across the goal with a great save.
Here's the shot and a save, Freese. He sticks out the top hand and he saves it and pushes it around the post.
It's really how he's been playing for us for the past 2 years with the U.S. men's national team. He's finally getting recognition across the league, and as a team, as a group, we're super happy for him, and we're super happy that he's on our team.
And I think Matt Freese is happy that Justin Hack is standing in front of him during the course of the game.
And blocking shots again, right? And Hack blocking shots again. He's become so proficient at this. It's just great. And it's the hockey mentality. It just really, really is. I mean, if you watch the Rangers or watch hockey, you see guys diving in front of pucks all the time so they don't even get to the goalie. And that's Justin Hack.
I don't know if there's anybody old enough that are listening or watching us right now, but in 1968, hockey on the radio, it was Marv Albert doing the New York Rangers. It was Eddie Jacquemin in goal. And I don't know if you caught it. I figure you did. But his phrase, kick, save, and a beauty. And it was Eddie Jacquemin. But that's what I just used with Freese. I don't know if you caught that.
Yes.
So I stole that from Marv. It's 1968, so I don't know how many years later. So
he was using it all the way. He used it all the way through. I'm saying since the first time I heard it, I believe that's the first time I've used it in commentary. Oh, okay.
And that's a lot of years.
That's a lot of years. No, Marv had a ton of great sayings. My favorite might be garbage time, when he was talking about either the Knicks winning by 20 or losing by 20 with about 2 minutes to go. And they start emptying the bench, and it's like, oh, it is garbage time now.
Well, those were, and I think you've said the same thing. That's one of the reasons I love the radio is the fact that we had to listen to the radio back then to follow your teams, because the home games weren't on TV; they were blacked out. So there you go.
By the way, they still are. For MLS, they are, unless you have MLS season pass.
So listen to the radio. Well, Michael Cordova sent me a note. Michael Cordova, who follows both of us on X, I know. And this is interesting. So he sent this note while it was happening. Listening to you all on the radio currently from the top of my apartment parking lot in my car radio listening. Not sure why, but every time I listen to the game on the radio with both you and Maddie, We always win. Get the win, boys. So he left. He didn't watch it anymore. He left just to listen to it on the radio for superstitious reasons, it sounds like. So I told him we got the win. So for the Miami game, he's got to sit in his car the whole game. That's a requirement now, I guess, right?
Yes. Right. You don't. If you're superstitious, that's what you do.
Well, I love the note. And for Michael, I'm going to play this for you, although this got a lot of positive reaction. I just did it this morning or yesterday morning. Again, I'm losing track of the days. But I just put this together. I call it the final whistle. But it's an exciting moment, man. It was a great moment. So here's the final whistle.
And he whips it in like a quarterback, and now the ball high into the air again, and there's the final whistle! And New York City celebrates! The coaching team all in a big hug as the New York City Football Club defeats the Philadelphia Union in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Maxi Morales receiving a wonderful, exquisite pass from Nico Fernandez-Mercado, scores the goal in the 27th minute, and New York City hangs on and now will travel to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where they will meet Lionel Messi and Inter Miami for the right to play in the MLS Cup.
How about that?
I mean, who would have thunk this? Remember at the beginning of the season, everybody complaining they're not bringing enough players. What are we doing? Trying to run David Lee out of town, all this stuff. The guys he brought in, the 3 guys he brought in this year that he was allowed to bring in, because, I mean, that's really the way it worked, right? I mean, it's not just he goes and makes a decision. He's got to run it up the flagpole in 5 different countries to be able to get approval to do stuff. It's not easy in New York City to get stuff done that way. But New York City had weaknesses that they needed to fill, and he got them filled. And it's been great. Nico Fernandez-Mercado, Aiden O'Neill, and Raul Gustavo. They've been fantastic signings. He went 3 for 3. And now that he's gone, I mean, he left on a really good note to help get this team to the Eastern Conference final again. I mean, I don't think you can ask any of the fans who are still chiming in over here, how many people mid-season thought that the New York City was going to be an Eastern Conference finalist? And I'm waiting for all of you to chime in.
Well, neither did either of us. So let's put this out on the table.
Exactly.
None of us. None of us.
Exactly.
They didn't look like a playoff team. You can't be a playoff team or a team that's going to advance deep into the playoffs without consistency. And this is arguably one of the least consistent teams that we've observed for New York City FC in the first half of the season. It's a new coach, new methods, new discipline. A lot of different things were happening. And yes, players were needed to be injected. And you're absolutely right. David Lee, who I know is very proud of what happened from now his apartment in Kansas City. And, it's just, you got to look fondly back at that. And now he's on to his next stage. How about this, Roberto? And I don't know if you caught this. I just happened to be looking through all the guys who contributed to the goals in the Eastern Conference semifinals. That is Miami 4, Cincinnati 0. That is New York City 1, Philadelphia 0. There were 10 goal contributions, 10 goal contributions in the 2 games, and all of them were by Argentinians. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was pretty cool. So break out the motto.
3 of them by New York City.
Huh?
3 of them by New York City.
Well, yeah, and then Messi 1 goal, 3 assists. Silvetti 1 goal, 1 assist. Allende 2 goals. I'll tell you, this front line, this is going to be a difficult assignment for New York City, obviously. And then Maxi Morales got a goal. Nico Fernandez-Mercado got the primary assist, and Agustin Ojeda gets the second assist. And the hockey assist, if we're going to make another hockey reference. And there you have it, 10 goal contributions, all Argentinian boys. I thought that was fun.
It is, and it just goes to show, I mean, for that country, how many players they export all over the world, and it's just quality everywhere. There's a reason why they're world champs.
No question. Now, let's go back to this. New York City recently played Miami, and it wasn't good. It was a midweek game at Citi Field, and that 4-0 scoreline that they had over Cincinnati, that was the result against New York City, but it was a different kind of game. So Pascal referred to a couple of big chances in the first half, and I had trouble remembering exactly what he meant. Well, then I went back. First of all, it was Fernandez Mercado. Remember, he dribbled the central defender, Falco, and it was just him and the keeper one-on-one about 15 yards away, and he pulled it wide right. I mean, it was an absolute automatic goal with just a proper placement. Didn't happen. Okay, so that's one. And then Thiago Martins, one of his 14 attacking headers on goal, was free at the back post, unmarked, and he headed it on frame, but right at the keeper without the kind of pace necessary. And those were the two big chances that Pascal was referring to. Either one of those would have put New York City ahead. There was a goal scored just before halftime, and then
changes the game. Totally changes the game.
It really
absolutely. And so, but it didn't. And it was interesting because when you look at that game, it was 1-0 up until like the 73rd minute, and so New York City was in the game for 73 minutes or so. And then, once the second goal goes, then all of a sudden you're really starting to just go for it. It doesn't matter if you lose by 2-0 or 4-0. And sure enough, they caught New York City a couple of times. And so it's going to be a totally different game playing in Miami. And New York City is, as you mentioned the stats already, it's a draw. It's a tie in Kansas City, a loss in Philadelphia. Aside from that, New York City's won every one of their last playoff games, their last away games. Yeah. So they're not going to go into Chase Stadium intimidated. I mean, they also remember that they tied 2-2 there. Of course, we understand that Inter Miami had a red card in that game too, when they were winning 1-0 and actually playing pretty well. So, but it's different teams, and now the way that they're set up, which is different from the way that was set up when they beat New York City 4-0. So if they play the same way, Suarez is on the bench, and now you have speedsters with Allende and Silvetti playing with Messi. Messi, even though they listed him as a 9, is really pulled back and played as a 10. You've got Silvetti and Allende coming inside, and then the width is being provided by Wegman and Alba, although Alba didn't go up as much as he normally does against Cincinnati. Rodriguez played more out to the outside. So they've set up differently. It obviously worked very, very well against Cincinnati, who didn't have Matt Miazga. So, that might have been a problem as well. So it's going to be a different situation, a very different challenge from what New York City had against Philadelphia. But, they showed a year ago at Citi Field when they were able to control Messi in that 1-1 tie. That was a masterclass on how to defend against Inter Miami. They got one goal, and Messi had one free kick and didn't do a damn thing for the rest of the game. And they're going to have to find a way to pull that, pull that tactic, those tactics out again, and figure out a way to do that again.
And that game was, that was, and then there was a couple of years ago. What was the Yankee Stadium game where James Sands scored? That was the one that I'm talking about. Yeah, that was last year. Yeah, that was at Yankee Stadium.
That was Yankee Stadium, correct?
That's right. Yeah. So Pascal Janssen, part of my pregame briefing on the pregame show on our network, we addressed this 4-0 result at Citi Field this year on September the 24th. So not long ago. Here's what he said. You're coming off a difficult performance against them, even though the game was probably closer than the score would indicate. Mm-hmm. The one at Citi Field, the 4-0 loss. What are you taking from that? Kevin O'Toole said maybe we respected them too much, and he didn't use the word brave, but is there an expectation that you need to be more brave in this one?
For sure. And it doesn't surprise me that Kevin mentioned that. Against Miami, especially in the first 70 minutes, and like I mentioned just now as well, the first two big opportunities, and they were not small chances, they were big chances, were on our side. But at top level, when you don't put those chances away, or at least one of those two, it can come back at you. And that's what happened in this game. Got us behind before the break. Game was pretty even after the break, and then after 72, 73 minutes, things changed, and they were able to step up another gear, and they showed how good they can be. But like I said, the remarks made by Kevin, they don't surprise me because it's about having courage and being very brave, especially on the ball, because you will find spaces and areas where you can play the way we want to play, also against Miami.
So Kevin O'Toole we expect him at the back in this one with Aiden O'Neill coming off the suspension. You would expect him and Johnny Shore to be in the midfield for this game for Pascal, and which would really make it just one change from that September 24th game at Citi Field. It's the same front four that they played against Miami at Citi Field. So that's pretty interesting. And, it's a different game, different time. Even that's a short time ago, the team feels pretty confident that they can go on the road, even against this club, even at Chase Stadium, where it's a difficult environment because you also have all those former Barcelona players barking at the official from start to finish, no matter what the call is.
Yeah.
And, there's a certain level of intimidation there sometimes. We don't know who the referee is yet, do we?
No, I do not know. I have not gotten. Normally, I get that pretty early, but I have not gotten it.
Guido Gonzalez Jr. did this one, and this past one for New York City against Philadelphia, and he drew a lot of praise today when we spoke to Pascal because he let them play without booking people consistently, but speaking to them, kind of getting close, and whether it was a whisper or not. And he really liked the way he handled it. And I think one thing Pascal said that was pretty interesting is that it's the only referee in MLS where he's experienced that sort of management of the game, and he favored it. So, and then of course I told him, "Well, put it into the suggestion box." But the officials all meet with the teams in January. Mark Geiger will meet with every team, and I guarantee you 1,000% that Pascal Janssen will bring this up to him. And it'd be interesting to see if that creates at least a little bit more of attention to it, because you know what it is. I mean, the referees have become a little more yellow card happy this year because as a point of emphasis. So we'll see how it goes.
True. And no, Guido Gonzalez did a really, really good job, especially handling. Remember Tavon Gray at the beginning of the game?
Oh, my
goodness. Committed the foul against Damiani.
I didn't ask him about that. I don't know what was going on with Tavon.
And he was talking to him, and he was talking to both. And then I remember, I think Thiago Martins came up to Tavon, and Tavon was like, "I'm fine. Leave me alone. I'm fine." I could read the lips. He was just, "Leave me alone." But they were trying to make sure he didn't get a yellow card.
Yeah, and I guess we're still unclear as to whether he would have been suspended or not.
Well, according to, we thought that he was, but then when and you saw that I shared that in our group text. But when we, it said nobody's on the verge of being suspended. So I'm like, all right, this is official from the league. So
yeah, that's from
I'll
MLS.
take that.
Right? Yeah, I figured that was from MLS. So I figured if he gets a yellow, I'm just going to leave it alone. And fortunately, he wasn't booked anyway. So excellent stuff. So that's coming up. Our pregame show is going to start at 5:45 because it's a 6:15 kickoff. That's Eastern time, coming up on Saturday at the Chase Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. Matty Lawrence and I will be on at 5 p.m. Eastern with NYCFC pregame live. So that's what we got coming up. So some important time with our family in between, with Thanksgiving coming up. So it's going to be very nice, a nice week, and really look forward to this one. I thought I'd bring up the Western Conference semis a little, and I'm going to talk about the fields, but I'll talk about the games too. But I'm going to talk about the fields. Vancouver beats LAFC in penalties, and then everybody's calling it sour grapes. Hugo Lloris, the LAFC goalkeeper, French international, after the game was talking about how unacceptable the playing surface was, which he's 1,000% correct. It's just a terrible, terrible artificial surface at BC Place in Vancouver. And all you have to do is
it used to be good, but that was 10 years ago. Because I remember when Frank Lampard was here, and I asked him after the game, went down to the locker room, and I asked him about the surface, and he says, "No, this is really good turf. I can play on this, no problem." He really liked it. And that was, that was 10 years ago. But Either
It's
they
like-
haven't changed it, which I'm sure they have, but whatever they've changed it to, just was terrible
It's
the
just
other day.
the way the ball reacts, the maneuvering of the ball, how the ball picks up speed when you play. It's just and plus the factor of injuries, and any artificial turf manufacturer, not the hybrids, but all you artificial turf manufacturers, if you want, you can give me every statistic and analytic, because this is what you do in order to sell your product, that says there are fewer injuries on artificial turf. Sorry.
No.
New York City front and center, Andres Perea, who told us today 1,000% that his foot locked into the artificial surface at Bank of America Stadium, which caused a fractured fibula. And then Alonso Martinez at Curacao in the 88th minute, non-contact ACL only now is one thing we learned today.
Yes.
And that these were both injuries caused by artificial turf,
Yes.
or as we like to refer to it, I learned this from Maddie because I never really talked about it this way, but we call it plastic. And so
Yeah, it is. So let me give the news that I sort of teased before. So we found out a little bit more. So with Alonso Martinez, it's just the ACL. His meniscus is fine, but he's going to get operated first week of December, and he's going to be back after the World Cup. So it's going to take that long. But the news on Andres Perea is really positive, because he only broke his fibula. He did not break his tibia. It was only the fibula. 2 months, he's going to be ready, and he believes that he's going to be ready for the beginning of the season. It may not be game one, but he'll be ready for the beginning of the season.
Well, the biggest thing is the recovery of this, and we know with the advancement of how players do recovery, the surgery in particular, and then how players are put through recovery modes, that the chances of them coming back and being the same, are great. The thing you hope for with Alonso Martinez is that he maintains his pace, because let's face it, he's a good soccer player, but his pace is what makes it happen. And the same thing with Malachi Jones, who, by the way, was involved in non-contact yet attacking drills today at training and looking good, leaping into the air, heading balls on frame. It was kind of a wonderful sight there for the moment we got a chance to see it. And but he too is a guy where pace is going to be a big part of his game. And we just hope and you pray for the individuals involved, because this is their livelihood, that they don't lose any of that. And I would say that it was really good news that we learned today, and understanding that these two will be out for a time. And Andres Perea, it kind of mimics how this season went for him. Remember, he had hernia surgery, which kept him out for a while, and actually longer, I think, maybe than they anticipated. That he had come back maybe a little bit too early. I remember him playing at Coachella, and then there was a setback, and that gave Johnny Shore the opportunity to come in and play a lot of minutes. 14 starts for Johnny Shore. So we didn't mention Johnny Shore, and I know somebody in our comments said, kudos to Johnny Shore. Absolutely. And I said on my podcast, Roberto, that he, not to put the pressure on him, but he's a key figure in this. And he came through, man. He just kept it simple. He was tough. And I'll tell you, that ball he played out to Ojeda at one point, I don't know if you remember that one. It was one of the best passes of the game, under pressure, just kind of spun. He knew he was out there, and Ojeda just hit a shot right at the keeper. Andre Blake, I don't know what he was diving for, but it was, as Matty Lawrence said in commentary, keepers used to catch that. All he had to do is like shuffle one way and just catch it. But he dove and extended and gave New York City a corner. But anyway.
And meanwhile, Ojeda hasn't scored a goal in MLS since the game against Orlando in 2024. I think it's May 2024. The only goal he scored this season was in Leagues Cup against Leon. So he's sort of due, but he has improved his game so much in the last 2-3 months, where he's become an assist machine, and he's been very positive, attacking defenders one-on-one. He's going after everybody, and it really has helped. So he's played every game this season, and Hack and Morales have started every game this season. Yeah, it's tremendous contributions from the three of them.
Well, Ojeda has, he has begun to produce with a. Well, you heard Tavon Gray earlier just saying, get it down to Ojeda because that's how he makes a living. Out there on the flat. They see it now. They see how impactful he can be and how much fun. Megging Macanya to set up a goal.
Oh my God!
When you do that's a little extra sauce right there, man. Hey, I don't want to leave out San Diego beating Minnesota 1-0. Anders Dreyer, who is the most valuable player minus Messi. I don't know how there almost should be an asterisk because this guy has had an MVP year, but he scored the goal.
Did you see the power he put on that ball?
Yeah.
Because who's this? St. Clair?
St. Clair was right at the front post. Yeah.
St. Clair actually touches the ball and his hands just go backwards. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't get a fracture on that. My goodness, did he put power on that ball?
And let me say this. Thank the Lord that Minnesota didn't advance.
Oh,
because
yes.
I am telling you, I stayed up. I did everything in my power to stay up and watch. I'm drinking coffee. I had a terrible night's sleep because I'm drinking all this coffee at 11:30 at night just so I could. And it was one of the least pleasant soccer matches that I've watched in a long time. And I'm talking about I'm watching the college NCAA tournament, men and women, NWSL championship. Congratulations to Gotham with a big parade.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
But I mean, I'm all these guys. They make the game miserable. Now you got to credit the fact that they got into this position. Right. Eric Ramsey, the 32-year-old coach who came in from being an assistant in Manchester United. But boy, oh boy, I hope he changes his tactics and brings in some players. It's okay to play for set pieces when you got a guy that can throw the ball, into the goal. I like the long throw, and that. But it's beyond that.
Yeah, they're the Euro champion Greece team of MLS.
All right. Well, you play to win, right? And
yeah, exactly.
And they didn't win one game in the 3, and they advanced past Seattle because they were better penalty kick shooters.
Yes, they were.
And then, but again, I'm very happy they didn't advance. And I said this.
And I'm happy for a different reason. Because if New York City makes the final, who the hell wants to open the window to comment in 3-degree temperatures in Minnesota? And who the hell wants to watch a game in Minnesota in 3-degree temperatures in December?
Okay. What I was going to say, well, I guess I forgot what I was going to say. But no, I know what I was going to say. The 4 teams remaining, and I mentioned this to Pascal today, and he bit on it a little bit in the pregame briefing, is the 4 coaches that are in the Final Four are all in their first year in MLS as head coaches. So that's one. But the other is they're all soccer playing teams. And what I mean by that, they want to control the game through smart soccer decisions and play. That is, keep the ball, whether you got to drive it, whatever you have to do, it's done with calculation and it's done with control. And even though they do it all in a slightly different ways, and he did agree with that, but I love the fact that the 4 teams that have made it to the final stretch here all play good football. I like that.
They do. And three of the coaches are foreign, and one is Mikey Vadas.
Mikey, boy, he's been something. I mean, went from the U20s where he had success, went to become an assistant to Berhalter, then became interim after Berhalter got sacked. And then BJ Callahan had left, I think maybe for Nashville by then. And maybe that's why Mikey had to step in. I think I've got that right. And made his mark as a club coach with the Anza Force in Northern California, where he was raised, more the Bay Area for him. It's a great story. And he covers all the aspects. I've gotten to know Mikey a little bit. I don't know. I haven't ever talked to Jesper Sorensen, but he's obviously done the work in Vancouver.
I love watching them play. Yeah, they're fun. They really move the ball around. They're just such a good team to watch. As much as I'll miss Son and Boanga in the playoffs, I really like Vancouver. I just love watching.
Well, you get to watch Thomas Mueller, which is pretty good too.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, and by the way, how about that crowd? 53,597.
Yeah. So no, the atmosphere, the competitive nature, the compelling nature of that match with Son scoring twice in the second half and then missing his penalty. He's cramping up. He can hardly after he hit it off the post.
Yeah.
And he could barely get back to the group of players at halfway because he was so spent. Not to mention that artificial surface may have worked against Son as well there. I mean, you could cramp up at the end of a game. I recognize that, especially going through extra time. But that surface really it takes it away from it. I shouldn't let it impact me as much as it does, I suppose. Watching games at Gillette, watching games in Seattle. Oh, that Lumen Field, terrible. BC Place, terrible. Gillette, terrible. And I guess
Atlanta,
Providence
Portland,
Providence. The ball doesn't move the same way, man. It slows up at Providence Park, and Atlanta it speeds up. It's just, and
they've got to figure out they've got to figure out a way. I mean, well, obviously, Atlanta probably might be the hardest because it's not only that that there are several college football games being played aside from NFL games being played as well. So it's really hard there. I get that. Now in Seattle, not that much. It's the Seahawks and the Sounders. As far as Gillette Stadium is concerned, it's just the Revs and the Patriots. So, get some real grass in there. Get some real grass in these guys. Same thing with Portland.
What's funny is we know that look, I'm not spending anybody's money, but I'm going to say this. If you're a billionaire, you have the money to figure out how to put grass on, take it off for the football games, put it back. There's a way to do it. And well, I don't know how much that thing at Real Madrid at the Bernabeu cost.
No, that's $1 billion. That's $1 billion thing. No, that's a different ballgame. I mean, them and Spurs.
That was quite a social media post. I thought it was a fake. I thought it was fake. I'm looking at it at first, and I'm like, what the heck's going on here? And then I remember there was an NFL game played there, and that was it.
Yeah. No, I mean, if they could do that, I mean, that would be fantastic. I mean, that's the future. But, New England is looking to build their own stadium, so I don't know if they're going to put grass into Gillette. Atlanta's playing where they're playing. They're not moving.
You can put grass everywhere because you can heat the grass, and you can also cover. This is what they do in Man City. The one time I got a chance to go over there and watch the Academy grounds, man, it was incredible. It was just incredible to see how they kept the grass the way it needed to be. And there were
but the difference there and the difference here is that they don't have 320-pound people, in the same places in the middle of the field, digging in and going after the quarterback and trying to defend the quarterback. That's the difference, right? And that really kills the field. Now, can they replace part of the field in the middle? I mean, they do it in Pittsburgh every year. I believe they do it in Green Bay as well. So, you can do that. But
why not? How about this? Why don't these NFL owners, why not put in the hybrid, which is
because they still tear it up. Even with the hybrid, they tear it up. I mean, you can look at Lincoln Financial Field, and you're going to see that. And they're only really playing. It's only really the Eagles there, but it gets torn up in the middle, even though they've got 2 weeks between games for most of the season.
Here's what we have to do. All right, this is what we have to endeavor to do. Let's get through this season. Hopefully, it's not over this weekend, and we got another game to do. But let's get through this season, and let's get. I think the proper term is agronomist. Somebody who studies turf. Let's get somebody on here that we know knows what the hell is going on, and let's see what they say about what it would take to put grass. Let's do that because we've got somebody, KP8955. Can they make a new MLS league rule against artificial turf? Of course they can. MLS can do whatever they want, right? I mean, we've seen.
Yes, they can, but also the owners aren't going to allow it because it's going to cost them money. So who's Don Garber's boss? The owners are. The owners are his boss, and they're not going to let him do that.
Right.
They're not going to let them do it. Right, where are they going to play?
And
the one thing you don't want, okay? The one thing you don't want to do what they did. Where did Mexico just play? It was AT&T Stadium, right? So at AT&T Stadium, the Cowboys play on turf. But when the Mexican national team plays there, they lay grass down. But it's like only put in like 3 days before the game. And it's horrific. It's worse than just playing on turf. When Tata Martino was the coach of the Mexican national team, and Mexico would always demand that they put grass down and all that, when they played at Atlanta, Tata said, no, leave it alone. We'll play on the turf. It's better. It's better than playing on that sort of grass. So for any of you thinking, oh, this is the solution, it's not the solution. If you remember,
the solution is platforms. It's platforms with the sod, and you slide it off, you slide it back in.
Well, you can't do where are you putting it. You can't slide it off. Like, for instance, at MetLife Stadium, there's no place under the stands to slide the grass off. There's no place to do it. So remember at Giants Stadium when the Metro Stars started playing there, and they played on trays, and they had all these octagonal trays all over the field.
No, it was
and
terrible.
That's what they did. And it was the same system that they have at what used to be NRG Stadium in Houston. I forget what the name of the stadium is now, where the Texans play. And at the end of the day, it didn't work for the NFL and for the Metro Stars, and they went back to turf. And in Houston, they took out the grass and they put turf on because it was just too much. It just didn't work. It was never kept. They couldn't keep it as well as advertised or as they were led to believe that it would be able to be kept. It's a very hard thing to do. It's a very hard thing to do.
I had a club team, coached a club team on that field with that not Red Bull, Metro Stars grass, and it was terrible. It was an awful surface to play. I mean, it was just it didn't work, and like you said, and so they realized that and went back. Well, I think it's a reasonable discussion, and I'm not saying it's never been discussed, but the facilities in MLS that have artificial surface, with the exception of Portland, maybe, are terrible. They're unacceptable for the game that we love, and they impact the game, and they impact the health of players. So I'll tell you what, and I'm just saying this. I'm just using it as an example. And please, no one read into this. But if Lionel Messi tore his knee at BC Place in a game, I think there'd be some movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even with that, it's not happening. It's just not going to happen. Look, Aaron Rodgers tore his ACL on MetLife. Did they switch the fence? No. I mean, NFL players get injured and all sorts of things like that, and
that's the other injury. That's the other injury that occurs more frequently. Achilles
tendons.
Yeah, because the cleats get stuck every now and then, guys, and they aren't getting stuck in the grass. It's just we've got a comment. It's more bad luck than anything, in my opinion. Well, I don't agree. That's 100% wrong. It's not luck. Now, there's occasions. Look, there's occasions when athletes will fall a certain way on grass, and it will injure them, and it would happen anywhere. I don't disagree with. I'm saying that the injury Andres Pereira and the injury Alonso Martinez, the two injuries that they suffered, are not going to happen on grass. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Or it's very rare that it would happen on grass.
It's very rare because we can't say 100% anything. I realize
because as you explained, Glenn, last week, because you've walked that field, you've seen the one in Curaçao, right? It's basically turf over cement, and Martinez told me today that there's no fill on the stadium. So the new turf surfaces have ground in rubber, either old tires or old speakers or whatever.
I know.
And he says there was none of that. He says you could just feel the cement under your feet. And he says he just planted and he heard it go.
I had a kick around with the other assistant coach down there with St. Lucia. And it was like, we couldn't believe it was like, oh my God, this is going to be crazy. And it was a terrible football game, both of them that they played. And maybe that's sour grapes for me, as St. Lucia lost both games with my assistant. So there you go.
But by the way, you haven't been called back last I heard.
No, I'm 0-2 in my international career. So
they've lost your phone number, I think.
Hey, listen, I set up a couple of set pieces and they did not execute. That wasn't my fault. They didn't execute it. So there you go.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh. Well, hey, let's kick it around. So I've just got two things here, Roberto. Unless anything came up on social media during the time we've started this that is of interest. The World Cup draws on December the 5th. That's not news, but it's going to be in Washington, D.C. At the Kennedy Center, which apparently they are charging for that facility. There was a story out there that FIFA was getting it for free. I read another story where that's not the case, but we'll see, which doesn't really matter that much. But I thought this was, I didn't know when the actual schedule, an updated match schedule assigning each match to a stadium with its respective kickoff time is going to be released the following day, which is the day of the MLS Cup final. So that's cool.
Why that day? What? Do it the day after or 2 days after. Why that day?
Well, it might be a nice little precursor to the big game. We could talk about it.
Everybody's going to be talking about who's playing where and against who. They really couldn't wait.
Well, I guess they could have. Why not do it on Sunday? Why do you have to do that? Well, I don't know.
Do it on Monday, actually, not even Sunday. Do it on Monday.
I didn't think of it that way. I thought it was a good idea, but we can disagree with that one, but not hostily. All right, let's not be hostile.
We're never hostile. I always like to disagree with a laugh.
And then this one, to me, and as we wrap and say Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes.
The sign of the apocalypse. I always love that in Sports Illustrated. The sign of the apocalypse, and then they come up with some crazy thing. Idrissa Gueye got a direct red when he slapped his teammate Michael Keane for Everton. A direct red card. So now there's a lot of debate. Should you get a red for hitting your own teammate?
Yes.
Unbelievable moment. I was watching it with the sound down, Roberto, because I guess I was working on notes. I don't really recall. And I remember looking up, and that's what it looked like. But I was like, nah, because I didn't see any. Why is he getting a red card? Nothing happened, because they did a whole replay of the, of what was going on. I'm like, and I didn't see the slap. So,
well, they didn't even mention anything going on until they started to do the replays. And I only watched it on, on social media, but the whole thing. And I was watching the whole thing, and I was like, how did they get a red card? Because I saw in FOTMOB that he got a red card, and then it was like for slapping his own teammate. And I was like, really? And then when I saw the replay, I'm like, my goodness. And then he had to be like escorted off. Pickford had to bear hug him and like drag him away. He was
I saw that. Yeah. And it was obvious to keep him away from Dean, or Dean away from him.
It was to keep him away from Dean. He was going to hit Dean again. So they had to drag him and calm him down and send him to the locker room. So I'm wondering, I haven't read
David Moyes. I've read the postmortem on this. David Moyes is taking care of it. Now, according to him, it's been solved in the locker room with the team. An apology from Gueye to his teammates. Now, he didn't directly review how Gueye and Dean are getting on right now, but he did apologize to his teammates, and hopefully he did it sincerely. And but David Moyes he's been around. I think he even said, he goes, this has happened to me like 2 or 3 times in my coaching career. So.
And you know what helped, by the way, is that they were nothing at the time. And like 10 minutes later, 15 minutes, they actually scored a goal down a man. They scored a goal. And then they held on, and they beat Manchester United.
Unbelievable.
In Old Trafford. Unbelievable. My son, who's a huge Manchester United fan, I have to check his wrists to see if he's okay.
It's like
he was beside himself.
All that, and they win, and now the Amorim hatchets are out again. He was a good coach for a while because things seem to be moving in a positive direction.
Yeah.
Now he's a terrible coach again, doesn't know what he's doing, and let the guy let him get through the year, and let's see where he is at the end of the year. And then if you want to sack him, but don't do it now. Don't do it now.
Oh, no.
They
were playing well this year. They were playing what most people think above their heads, considering who they are compared to last year. Not that much different.
Yeah.
So.
And then how about Wilfred Nancy going? Well, it's not official, but it certainly looks like it's closing in on Wilfred Nancy leaving Columbus and going to Celtic FC. The Hoops. I tell you, that it is a place that Celtic Park is one heck of a spot to be for a home game. And
I haven't been. I would love to go. I'd love to see an Old Firm match there. That would.
Yeah,
be
you
great.
should. You've got to put that
That's
on
a
the
bucket
list.
list sort of thing, right?
Put that on the list. I didn't see Old Firm, but I saw Celtic once. Yeah, and and they sing "You Never Walk Alone" just like Liverpool does, and it's passionate, and it really has it's special. Glasgow is special. And yeah, the Old Firm, you get to that, just put your helmet on and have fun.
Yeah, just don't wear the wrong colors.
Yeah, don't wear. Yeah, be neutral on that one.
Yeah, you'd want to. No green, no blue.
Those are the funny stories, like the Glasgow stories there. Where if within the family sometimes there are supporters on either side. So don't come into this house with that green striped shirt. Do not enter my house. And the same with the Merseyside derby. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got, Roberto. So let's preview. Are we doing another one before kickoff? Is that what we're proposing to me the other day? You want?
Yeah. We have a shot. Well, Thursday we're not doing it. Friday we'll be in Miami. So maybe we'll do one Friday night. No promises. If we have a good dinner deal, then maybe it won't happen. But no promises.
Why don't we let's get to the stadium early and do one from the stadium, man? And really,
we always get to the stadium. Yeah, we got to see where they're going to set us up first.
Yeah. All right. Well, we may or may not talk to you again, but you need to. Well, you don't need to, but we would hope
they know how to find us. Everybody finds us when we do these things. They know. Everybody knows. They get alerts, I guess, from. How do you guys find us? Let us know.
Well, we could tell you it's nycfc.com/radio, and it's also on the NYCFC app, and it's also on the TuneIn app. I know some of you have that. It's a great app, by the way, if you don't have it, because it gives you radio stations all over the world, so you can really kind of have some fun with that. And those are the and then to sync up the game, or if you're Michael Cordova, you'll just sit in your car in the in your apartment parking lot and just listen to us. Because you're superstitious, that's the way we win a game. So there you go.
Okay, so here's the deal, right? So for everybody who's listening who maybe isn't subscribed to either YouTube, if you subscribe to the channel on YouTube, you'll get an alert when we're going to come on live. And so this is one way, so you make sure that you don't miss us. So make sure that you subscribe.
Did somebody miss it?
Let people know.
Did somebody miss our show?
I don't know.
Oh, we'll
find out. But what is this? Don't overeat, did I see? Or everyone overeat? Probably.
Not the players, though.
No,
we talked about the discipline. So they're going to train in the morning. They're going to bring training back an hour earlier than normal on Thursday. And then they're going to let everybody go and enjoy their family and trust that they will handle themselves properly. I'm sure there's not going to be any issue with that with this kind of game coming up. And or any game for that matter. I think Pascal has the trust of his squad, and we'll see what happens. We'll see.
Yeah, it's a mutual admiration society so far.
So 5:00 for Maddie and me on Saturday from Chase Stadium with our NYCFC pregame live. Then myself, Maddie, and Roberto and Ariel, English and Spanish, with the pregame show beginning at 5:45 Eastern and kickoff, which I don't think will be listed anywhere properly. So we'll tell you here that it'll be at 6:15. Maybe it is, but I saw 3 different kickoff times for this last game at Subaru Park. So I don't know.
Yeah, but this one was from MLS. The one that I shared with you is directly from MLS. So I believe they should know. You have Pascal Janssen on your pregame show. I have Agustin Trapito Ojeda on mine. Really nice conversation with him, about 6 minutes long. Good stuff from him. So definitely listen in.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks to Shane producing this thing. For Roberto, I'm Glenn. And thanks to you for joining us. And we hope to talk to you real soon. Have a good night, everybody. And happy Thanksgiving.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast NYCFC Views on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.